right, week 17. I was reflecting on this semester as I start to record this and reflecting on the work that you've done to complete this class, and I hope you've found it helpful. And I hope that you find skills that you carry with you in the future. So, for this last classwork, there's a couple things I'm going to have you look at. And I've also been reflecting on the fact of how little I lecture. So, under your heading, so let's go ahead and get started. Under your heading, one of the things I would be interested in is, because you watched some video of me lecturing in the past, and you watched some video of stuff I've curated, found to be relevant to our course and hopefully to your life in general. Um, so I'd like just any course feedback is always great, because I do honestly take the feedback that I'm given and really evaluate it and see if, based on my larger view of the class, whether I need to change something, refine something, or go in another direction. So, first thing in this classwork, is just any feedback, and specifically on that topic about, you know, how has it been? How has it been a balance, of things recorded where I'm in the classroom? I will tell you for next semester, I'm going to start with fresh content all the way around. So I like to do that. I don't like to use anything that's very old, so I try not to. So anyway, we'll just start there. So I would like to take a look at a couple things I want you to do for this last classwork. So let's do that. So first, I've been talking about this end of semester thing for a couple weeks and trying to give you the whole heads up concept. But this will be the last time I talk about it, and I think it's appropriate because we're here at the last classwork, and really the only thing ahead of you at this point forward is really the final. But it's really also talking about how the class winds up, right? And making sure you're on task, because the dates that I give are not flexible for the end of the semester. I've been real flexible about late work that you have been able to do up until, hopefully, let's see, when in your head can you submit late work? And the answer is May 15th, which is a Monday night at midnight. Okay, so, and then that's also when the final is due. And then I will be grading, and think I've talked about this, but I haven't. Let me clearly say that I'm traveling starting the 14th. I'm going to Google for a week, but it doesn't matter that I'm traveling. I'm still grading and I'm still answering questions. So just because I'm not physically on campus doesn't mean I'm not available. It just means that if you want to talk to me face to face, you really need to do that the week before the end of the semester. Okay? Because like I said, I leave Sunday the 14th. And then as the semester, that last week, that finals week, I will not be physically around, but I will be virtually around, I guess, if we use those terms. So, let's actually now, sorry, one other thing is I can't remove chat. I found this out last semester. I can't delete chat, the class chat that many of you are on, but I will leave chat a week after the semester ends. So, you've been welcome to it anytime you want, but I would say hang out there in case you have any questions for me or your classmates sometime between now and that week after the end of the semester. But after that, you'll see me leave. And it will hang out as long as anybody's in there. So just know that was true if you see it a future time and go, I wonder why that's still there. Okay. So now actually let me turn to the calendar. So here we are at week 17, classwork, and we'll actually look at the classwork in a minute, but what I've been talking about is these dates, right? So your final is due here, so at midnight, and remember that is located in my IT lab. And I think I made a mistake in one of the past lectures. It's 150 questions. In taking the chapter final, you have 3 attempts at it. That I was right on. So you still have to post a print screen like you have done for all other My IT Lab items. But you do take the actual final in My IT Lab. Okay, so just to be clear about that. And then this night, which is Monday night, is also the last night to ask me to late grade anything. Okay, and then once I wake up on Tuesday morning before I head to my activities for the day, I will be grading. Matter of fact, I will grade depending on what my schedule is Monday night. I know I'm at a couple of events on Google Campus, but I will be I will be at a location to grade as much as I can before I go to sleep that night, and then finish up anything in the morning. And then at that point, this is the review day. Okay, so this is the day that you have to just look at your scores and ask me any questions. But I would tell you, don't wait until this point. Do it before now. But if now, this is just to be clear, at this point I remove access to all content to be actually updated. No chapter quizzes. If you did something in My IT Lab, it wouldn't matter because you can't submit it into Canvas any longer after I get up that morning. So just know that that's true, okay? And then you'll have 24 hours until the following day to ask me any questions, to clarify any questions about your grade. And then I wake up before I head to my 3-day conference at Google. I will post grades into Canvas or into WebAdvisor, but you won't see them until sometime the week after. Okay? So, just to be clear on all those dates, that's the way the semester ends. And if you're contacting me on Wednesday and asking me to grade something that you had completed, it's not going to happen, because at that point I will unfortunately have more than one student that may ask me, and if I allow one, I would have to allow them all, and I don't think that's fair. And these dates are solid. So in your notes, make sure you place the comment, these dates are not, there's no exception to these dates. Okay, your final is due here. The last day to ask me the late grade is up until midnight. Now, if you do something after midnight until that next morning, I will grade it, okay? But after that, no more work after the morning of the 16th. And then you have 24 hours to ask me any questions until I will actually post grades. And then, of course, anything past that you're asking me is it's too late, okay? So don't put yourself in a position to have that happen, right? Be on this stuff. And remember, you need 70% to pass this class. And the good news is, at looking at your grades, you're actually, a lot of you are doing really well. And I know this class is a bit of work. For this, I don't apologize, but I do know that that's true. Okay? Okay, so just hopefully we're clear about that. Again, I will be traveling, but available during those times. Actually, let's now look at, there's 2 videos I'm going to have you watch for week 17. One, I'm hoping 60 Minutes has not, because sometimes 60 Minutes, okay, so 60 Minutes is on CBS. CBS recently put up a paywall meaning you can only watch certain things you can't watch without paying, which is unusual, but evidently CBS's content is worth it because some people do that. But let me show you. Let me just turn now to that. So in week 17, which I will release once I finish the video, this I watched this recently, and it was Anderson Cooper, who's actually on CNN, did this segment that really caught my attention. And it caught my attention because I felt like he was talking about me. And I think he's talking about many of us. Let me just mute that real quick. You can't hear it, but I can. So this is a segment that's 13 minutes long, and it's really about what's happening with our phones, what's happening with the way we're creating apps, and what's happening with a deeper level of understanding the way the brain works, and then how machines and how programming can then take advantage of what we're learning more and more about. So this segment, after I watched it, I really was starting to pay attention to myself, and I've actually changed some of my habits because of this. I really do take a more conscious break from the device, put it down and put it away, and I think that's been really helpful for me. So I would say watch this. Give me some notes. So again, this is a heading. What is brain hacking? So I just think, and this is really a tech insider who is kind of outing the industry with some really important data. Not all apps are doing this, but some I think definitely are doing that. Okay, so this second one is machine learning. So we actually had a video a couple weeks ago with a woman from Google talking about machine learning. And this video is an updated, really looking at what's happening. So with machine learning and some real products in the real world that are coming into reality and looking at this. So if you haven't heard this term much, maybe before the video you watched, I think this second video will help then bring it a little more real because um, so anyway, you watch this one too and make sure you do a heading, right? So boom, this is 10. So I would see a heading for class topics, the stuff I've talked about. I'd see a heading for 60 minutes and I'd see a heading for 10 machine learning products. Okay, so that's the videos you have for this week. So coming back here, so what I was going to say is that the first video you guys watched a couple weeks ago was really talking about what was coming at us with machine learning, and now we're actually seeing machine learning now. If you haven't heard this term, it's really the new term for artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence got such a bad rap in so many ways that part of the idea of changing the name was actually try to kind of walk away from some of that some of those terms and emotions that people, when they hear the idea of artificial intelligence or machine intelligence, that can conjure up some really interesting ideas in our head. So but these things are now more real than ever and getting more real every day. So it's really interesting, I think, time to be alive, honestly. Even with all the stuff happening in the world, it's just a really interesting time to watch what's unfolding and how quickly it's unfolding, and watch what I think as humans we're trying to figure out. Not trying to, we are figuring it out in some level in our world. Because, this whole idea of, there's been a lot of talk about how, you know, jobs in this country and how people feel like there are people taking jobs. And there's a lot of talk about it's not as much that impact as it will be machines taking jobs. And then there's a lot of discussion about how it will be machines taking definitely repetitive jobs and possibly machines in our lifetime taking even more advanced jobs, but all the new jobs that get created when those jobs are handled by machines. And I think, we have such an apocalyptic idea of the future that I think it's important to really contextualize where we're at and understand it at a deeper level if that's something you're able to think about and give some time to. So because I really thought about these last two videos, because I had some different ones for last semester and I decided to go in a different direction because I think this is just really relevant to our world and to us individually. So that's why I went there. So that's the work you have. So that's week 17 wrapped in a package and ready for you to submit. And this doesn't have to go in your notes, but I will say this to you is that I always appreciate you giving my future students and possibly your future friends, your feedback about my class. And Rate Your Professor, I think, is a great way to do this because it gives us a place where we can point people to and to look at, give feedback about instructors. Now, do take some of this with a grain of salt because, if you only have two or three people saying something, yeah, take that for what it is. And if everybody's saying something, not necessarily if everybody's saying an instructor's not that good, also take that into consideration because, you may find that, you jive with those instructors. So take it as just a piece of information. And in this context, what I'm asking you is for you to consider rating me on Rate Your Professor. Um, I'm pretty proud. I'm actually really proud of the ratings I have on Rate Your Professor, because I really do attempt to make the student experience as enjoyable as I can and as flexible as I can. And I really try to find relevant things to you. And I know I probably focus more on coding than other instructors, but I feel like that's important. So, and I really do encourage you to look at some of my other, now that you've passed 15, which everyone that's watching this probably will, because if you've made it this far, you're probably going to pass. But again, that's up to you. But now that you have passed 15, there's CIT82, which is web technologies, which is really covering kind of like how this class covered a lot of topics. That covers a lot of topics but specifically to web development and folks going into web development. And you don't have to be a web developer to take that class, and it's taught in a 9-week mode online. So think about that. I am teaching JavaScript in 18 weeks online next semester, so that's another class that you'd want to definitely level up on your HTML and CSS. If you feel confident in that, totally think about taking that. So anyway, FYI, I guess I'm doing some shameless plugs to get you to consider. And not just my classes, really anybody in CIT. There's some really great classes, really great instructors around here, so check that out as well. So, thank you. Really, thank you so much for everything. Remember, and I've said this at the beginning, without you, I would not have a job. And I appreciate my job. I try to take my job seriously. I appreciate the responsibility that's placed on me to give students this particular really important in today's world skill. So I hope you feel that your time was well spent. But if you feel like you want to get me some feedback where you feel like I do better, I'm totally open to that as well. Anyway, that's it for me. Have a great summer. I'll be studying. I'll have a summer of code set up for myself to where I'm leveling up on my skill to integrate into my advanced classes. So that's what I will be doing. So I hope whatever you're doing, you enjoy it, and hope to see you around the campus. Have a great one.